Food Travelers. I'm Micah.
And I'm Simon.
Here we're in our last day in Austin, and after all that barbecue, we just end up with a dinner barbecue at the Salt Lick.
Yeah, it's one of the things, you're in Texas, barbecue is such a big thing, so you gotta go have more barbecue, of course.
We chose the Salt Lick at the Driftwood location. Everybody has been mentioning about this place, about how grand it was, how big it was, so it was something we had to go check out.
It was pretty accurate in their description. It's about a 30 to 45 minute drive southwest of downtown Austin itself. So it's a bit of a drive out there, but the compound itself is pretty awesome. It's definitely large. There's a lot of space, especially outdoor space. To me, it reminded me of going back to like those Western cowboy days.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me more of camp. Going to camp days. They have this huge, large section, which is kind of just for the sellers, blocked off from children. So while you're waiting for your table to be set or having a table to eat, you could go drink and taste whatever they have here.
Yeah, and enjoy the atmosphere. Definitely at nighttime when it's dark out and all the lights are on, it looks pretty awesome. So that beer garden they do have, it's pretty, it's a good thing that they have that because we ended up actually waiting for about an hour. So if there wasn't a beer garden, I have no idea what we would have done.
I mean, they do have that live music, but the live music was only in a small section close to the front. But yeah, it was great to have that beer garden and to just try out some of the local beers that they have here.
Yeah, and it was actually pretty cool to be able to walk around the entire property and kind of go through and get a kind of an idea of the layout and all the things they have in there and just the sheer size of this place. Especially compared to all the prior barbecue places we've gone to, when you come to this one, it's just kind of awestruck with how much space they have, and not just the compound itself with the seating and everything, but also just the parking lot is humongous.
Yeah, I think this place is perfect for large families or large parties. Some of the people we spoke to while we were waiting for our table, they actually told us this is the spot they take all their relatives to.
Yeah, and I can see that because in terms of pricing to the amount of quantity of food you get, definitely it can feed a large family, and you don't have to have that much pain in the pocketbook to do so.
And one thing really cool is their gift shop. Every other barbecue restaurants we went to, they have a gift shop so you can buy their branded goods.
Yeah, we walked around and they have their usual things: cups, t-shirts, barbecue sauces, things like that. So if you're into those things and you kind of want to have a collection, they definitely have all those offerings for you to go through. And it also helps because as you're kind of waiting for your seat to be ready, it kind of gives you that extra time to walk around, to kind of burn that extra time to look at all the different things that they have. One of the things I also remember really vividly is actually there's windows that you can see into their kitchen and kind of see them performing all these different barbecue tasks that they're doing. That's pretty cool. They're pretty famous for this big barbecue pit with all the meats cooking on top of it.
Yeah, I think that is the main attraction of this place. It's just that pit, the way that you can watch them prepare all the food and just see all the meats and everything right in front of you.
Yeah, and the way that they actually cook the meats and everything, they've been doing this for quite a long time, and it's one of those old style cooking techniques that have been, pretty much around for decades, if not centuries.
And it was actually kind of cool just to just watch it. Being in Austin, I don't see too many places that actually have this much transparency in how they're actually preparing the food.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting, and especially when they were, as you saw earlier in the video, that they were throwing, the moisture essentially into the fire pit to kind of increase that smoke flavor. So you can actually see, as it hit the fire and the extra smoke that it produced, which all gets seeped into the meats.
And for our plates here, we actually ordered bison and beef ribs along with the brisket.
The bison I wanted to order, especially because it was something that you don't get too often, at other places. So I'm always happy to try different type of meats. Unfortunately, I think Um, when I did eat it, I could not tell between the difference between the beef ribs and the bison ribs. They pretty much tasted the same. And when they did taste the same, it was pretty much because it tasted like the sauce.
I totally agree on that one. I was really disappointed with this one. I had high expectation of actually tasting bison meat, as I've had bison before, but with the two ribs, they tasted so similar. I really couldn't distinguish the difference on that one.
Yeah, when we were discussing about visiting this place, the different various articles and videos that we kind of saw about the place kind of, gave a lot of accolades to it. So many things about how great this and that was. I just did not find that to be the case when we went. And in the video, you'll see that when I was actually eating the brisket, I kind of just knew right away. I put my fork into it, and it kind of, instead of just poking itself in nice and easy, it actually resisted a bit. And in my head, when I actually did that, I already just knew, like, I had that in my mind, like it's not gonna be what I think it is. And in this case, it was pretty tough. You had to have a good chew down on it to break the meat down, so you can get a nice chew to swallow down, because it was tough.
Yeah, just when the brisket arrived, I was already disappointed just looking at it. It was definitely not how all the other brisket we had through this trip. It's no comparison. It was tough. It was dry. It was just really disappointing on that.
Yeah, it's just so disappointing, especially after, at least for us, if you've seen our previous visits to Houston, and then of course our earlier visits in Austin itself at the other places like Franklin and Interstellar, it's just maybe we were spoiled a bit, but it just couldn't compare, and it was just disappointing. I just felt like I had to work really, really hard just to break down the brisket, just so I can get it, to your normal swallowing size for when you chew something.
And usually for brisket, it's supposed to be so tender you could just eat it by itself. But for this one, you really, really had to rely on that sauce. Without that sauce, I don't know how you would eat that thing.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I ended up dipping the brisket in the sauce pretty much with every single bite, because I don't know if you ever had those like crackers, or that kind of, you take the bite and you chew, and all that moisture in your mouth just gets sucked out into the cracker, and so then you're just left with this dry mouth. That's kind of how I felt also with eating the brisket, which it definitely is not a description you'd want for your brisket, but in this case that was the only thing I could think about how to describe it.
And also with that rib, I mean, the rib was not tender. It was not fall off the bone style. It's like you really had to chew for it. That was definitely different. There was still the membrane on it as well. I understand it's a different cooking style, so it is what it is.
Yeah, and then we finished off with their peach cobbler, which was decent. It was actually pretty good. We had the vanilla ice cream on top of the peach cobbler itself. It's pretty standard. It's something that it's good. I wouldn't point anything out in terms of being great, So, but I did enjoy it. Just coming back to the ribs, the one thing I do gotta give them is the amount of time that they give into giving that smoke flavor. That definitely the food did have that smoke flavor, so that's not something that is lacking. So if you really like the smoky flavor, they definitely have that incorporated in their barbecue.
And since we did come here close to closing towards the end of the night, I don't know if that was the case or what was going on. They did forget about us after we checked in. I think maybe we just have to show up earlier next time.
Yeah, so in terms of service-wise, we definitely can't say it was the best experience we've had, but maybe another day, and maybe if you go, that you'll get a much better experience than we did. And to wrap up the episode are our notables, and unfortunately for this episode, we did not have any notables.
And to support our channel, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for the YouTube algorithm. And for more photos, follow us on Instagram. See you guys on the next episode.